means I actually get to talk again. Does anyone need a pen? You're going to do a little bit of writing.
Find it. No,
I have a pre-test and a post-test. Nothing to stress about. But in education, you have to have ways of measuring. So that's what we're going to do tonight. See whether or not I do my job and I can be back for the next academy. I just told Rich, I said, of course I have to pass out the evaluations tonight. I'm instructing. Well, it's fresh in your minds. You heard stories about me. They're true. Even the good ones. These are all sticking together. I'll give you just a few seconds to complete this. I didn't forget. It won't take long to complete. The pretest is in the right column.
You got a new one now.
You need a pen?
Yes. Red House.
We're going to look at a little history of the police department. Policing in a school environment is completely different than the road. Let's first look at this. There we go. It first started with Sergeant Don Mortimer in 1969. He was able to get grant money, and he went to the city, and they started what was community relations at the time. Don served his term up until 1979, and in the early part of 1980, he resigned his position because he ran for mayor of the city of Wooster. Some people thought that they were the first ones from the police agency that wanted to be mayor. Not the true case. Don Mortimer resigned his position, ran for mayor. He lost in the preliminary election, primary election, by 100 votes. The mayor that took that position was Demarest, Mayor Demarest. Don went on to become a good neighbor. Those of you who know Don Mortimer is a State Farm agent. Don Edwards took his position when he resigned it. Don held the position from 79 to 1985. He had ambitions to move on. When the slot in the detective bureau opened up, he took that detective slot, slid into that, and gave it to John Benko. Now, many of you that know John Benko may think, how on earth did John Benko end up in community relations? John is a tough, rough individual. He did well in community relations. However, there was misfortune in the family of the Wooster Police Department, and one of our officers' sons were dramatically killed in Texas. He just got a job for Texas Instruments. They were at a pool party in Texas, celebrating the position. The police were called, it was loud. Police officer said, hey, quiet it down, because I'm going to have to cite someone if I come back. It didn't quiet down. Individual at the pool party says, when the cop pulls up, they're not shutting us down. He grabs a shotgun. Howard Zerker's son, being a son of a law enforcement officer, tries to intercede. He takes a shotgun blast to the chest and kills him. Howard would never be the same. Benko, seeing this, realized it would be a good position for Howard Zerker to move into. Howard takes over in 1987, and then until 1992. And then you're stuck with me. In 1992 until present, I've been in the Community Relations Bureau, which then our levy failed, so they closed the Community Relations Bureau down, and now I do dual citizenships. I'm a patrol officer and a school resource officer. The term school resource officer has only been with us for 6 years. Before that, Sergeant Ken Walters, does anyone remember Ken Walters? I figured only one would. We've been in the schools forever. This photograph just shows you that we've been in schools. Law enforcement has been in school for many, many, many years. It's nothing that has been new. But we're going to talk about some of the things that are newness. Here's some nice shots from Don Edwards. Can anyone name that elementary school? It's Layton. Layton, Don talking about stranger danger. And if you notice, Buddy on his left. Don did not bring Buddy to the police department. It was Don Mortimer. Don Mortimer brought Buddy to the police department, also brought the Blackwatch program to the police department. Buddy was actually, his name was selected by a Worcester school student. There was a campaign throughout the Worcester City Schools of naming Buddy, or the winner was Brad Flinner. Brad Flinner was the winner. His name was Cop Buddy. Cop Buddy. Don liked it. He took cop off because he's already in uniform. Everyone knows he's a cop because he's in uniform. That's how you know that we're a cop. That's why we wear these things. So Buddy was formed. Buddy no longer talks. The band in him doesn't work. It dry rotted. Buddy has taken the shelf of the captain's office ever since. So Brad Flinner is the one that ended up naming Buddy. So we've been in the schools. Howard brought with us to the elementary schools. When I was a rookie, I said, Howard, let me come read to the kids. Let me read to the kids. And I come in, I was, of course, on night shift. And I'd come in and read to the kids. And I'd help them with bike rodeos and things like that. So Howard and I became close friends. Sad to inform you that Howard is now in Westview Manor nursing home. And I go to visit him. Howard won't look you straight in the eye. He's now bent over and just looks at the floor. But he can still have recall. So this is Howard. Howard at the time, and Don Edwards served in the community relations at a trying time for children. And just so I get everything straight, I'm going to use my cards. He was here and he had to do rape prevention classes at the junior high level. Some of these names you'll remember. Krista Harrison, Hendershot, Tina Hardman. All three of these girls, right about the same period, came up missing and brutally raped. Hendershot was found on the Wayne County border. The assault actually occurred outside our county, but came in. Tina Harmon, Creston, her science teacher will never be the same. He put a big push on recycling. She was at the park recycling when she was abducted. That SOB is now gone. After many years on death row, he finally received his just dues. So Don brings that into the schools. Howard follows up with that with a fingerprint card. This was high tech for us. Fingerprints have been around for many years. In fact, I just taught a class for the Boy Scouts about it. Howard brought this in. It's a way that parents can keep track of the students' fingerprints. What do we have now that we like in law enforcement? What is the Mercedes of evidence collection now? DNA. So a child's toothbrush can present enough DNA for us to locate the child. So the fingerprints are pretty much gone by the wayside. In fact, this is the first year. I used to do kindergarten fingerprinting every year. This is the first year that I did not. Simply because, with fingerprints, it's a little different at trying to locate bodies, unfortunately. So Howard Zerker. Joan Goodright from the Worcester City Schools approached that time Chief Robert Merritt. Asked Bob, hey, I want to start this program. She badgered Bob for 2 years. However, Howard didn't feel like he could do it. He said you need someone that's more enthusiastic to do that program. Howard then spoke to the chief, said, I think I know the person that would be willing to do that. They have to post a position. The position was posted. I applied for the position. I think one other person applied for it because no one wanted to go into the schools. And believe it or not, I was selected. That's kind of rare here at the Worcester Police Department for me to be selected. So, the DARE program. The DARE program, in fact, this is my time of year. It's called Passover. Now, here we go. This is the DARE books here. Do not write in these because I have a limited supply and I think I just have enough to complete the year. This will give you an idea of what the students will see in the DARE program. When I first started it, it was a 17-week program. It then dropped down to 12 weeks, and now it's down to 10. Because a changing world in education resulted in where children had to be tested. Not at the local level, but the state level. So the teachers needed more classroom time for prep work to be able to prepare the students to take the test. So those times removed some of the time that I could conduct classroom sessions with the students. There is a 10-week program. I never brought drugs to school. That is a misinformation. I've had people come to me, my kids didn't know anything about drugs till you showed them. It wasn't me, all right? Never took a cigarette to school, never took a drug to school. We worked on resistance techniques. That is what the DARE program is. It evolved to cover bullying, which is the catchphrase now. There's some words that I hate. Bullying is one of them. Law enforcement used to be easier for me. See, I'm the oldest person on the police department right now. That shows you how young we are. We didn't have text messaging. We didn't have Facebook. If someone in Orville hated your guts, they would have to travel to you. Not anymore. It comes to their inbox, and they realize their Twitter account. Those devices are sometimes my ally. I am able to use some of those things to find out what's going on. Because not always do students want to tell me about parties that are going on or adventures that they're going to be doing that weekend. Joan Goodright, I call her the mother of DARE. In fact, she just passed away on her funeral registry, guest registry. I wrote, goodbye, good friend, mother of DARE. I have the best job ever. Please do not tell people this. They will try to eliminate me. I enjoy my job. I enjoy students. I enjoy young people. I like youth. I would like to find the fountain of youth. I like to keep up with the crazes of Beavis and Butthead early on, morphing into other things. What's the underpants guy?
SpongeBob SquarePants.
SquarePants? Yeah, but it was like a superhero reading book. Those are the things I enjoy. I enjoy to keep up with those things. My kids laugh at me when I'm watching animation. They say, Dad, why are you watching this? This is actually my study. I am studying because I need to know this information. Because if they throw something out to me and I can't have a comeback, I'm flat in the water. So if you ever see me in a movie theater and I'm watching a G-rated movie, you know why. Plus I enjoy them. Trying to do good for the community. We were at the Walmart this year. Just right after this picture was taken, an individual came up to me and cussed me out. Not only me, the chief of police was with me. Just cussed me out, went in and bought some toys. Handed the toys over to me. I put in the thing and she says, now that I did my good deed, I'll let you have a piece of my mind. Yes, it is who you think it is. Why? What was her beef? We said no. In law enforcement, you're always someone's best friend until you say the N-O word. No. Once you say no, then the game's over. I belong to 3 organizations. I was the president of the OPJOA, that's Ohio Police Juvenile Officers Association, for 2 years. State organization is for DARE on the left, School Resource Officer to the right. Those organizations allow me to keep informed of all the current information that is occurring in law situations. As a school resource officer, doing work in the school, I need to...
Clicker. You got the clicker under your arm?
Oh, it was my clicker. Yeah. I thought, man, whoever has that vibrator on their phone, can I borrow it?
He was looking square.
So, I just wanted to review for those of you who just walked in. You may have thought I made a mistake, but I didn't. These are the people that my predecessors, Ken Walters, Don, Howard. What is an SRO? By definition, it's a career law enforcement officer. So I was a police officer before that. I am not an actor, and no, I did not shoot anyone. That's usually a typical question I get from young people the first day I'm there. Have you ever shot anyone? No, but I'm looking for volunteers. And some kids get it, others don't. Sometimes it goes over the head, and the teacher then raises her hand and starts pointing. With sworn authority deployed in the community-oriented policing, that was a buzzword for a little while. Bringing cops back into the community, we had already been doing that for years. If it's not me, it's other guys. I'm not the only one that talks nice to kids. There are some other police officers that talk nice to kids too. When I find them, I'll let you know. No, School resource officer, first of all, have to be a sworn officer, properly selected. Chief Fisher got me just by grandfather. There I was. In fact, his early selection process, they were going to do away with the position. Worcester City Schools decided they didn't need a school resource officer, and then the man in the back of the room fought, and within a few months was able to gander newly appointed chief. Person walks in and says, "Chief, we don't need Ken anymore." Chief argued for me. So he says to me. So he argues for me and says, you know, you don't understand, you know, we think he's a valuable resource. No, we can't do it. So then Rich took it upon himself and found money and was able to get me back into the schools, and I've been there since. Properly trained, the department sends me to training, constant training, school law changes, case law changes, all that stuff needs to be updated. The DARE program, like I've told you, have evolved over the years. Things change. What changes a curriculum is current events. Those things that are currently happening in a community. Krista Harrison, when the abductions were coming out, those were something that the schools wanted. Hey, we need to cover this. We need to cover this. Come on in. Do this for us. Parents. I deal with parents that are usually too involved in children's lives. Now remember, I'm only there for 10 hours teaching DARE. 10 hours doing the DARE program, the anti-drug program. 10 hours. And they go to a home. True story, a friend of mine from Cleveland. They did a raid on a drug house. Go through the door. Storm the door. Goes through the house. They find drugs and people in all the houses. And then they came to a door. On the door it says drug-free zone. They go through the door and there's a little girl in the corner, crumpled up in a little ball. Every room in that house had drugs or drug paraphernalia, except for the little corner of her world. Though she was in the essence of a drug house, she claimed her space to be drug-free. That is a little girl that has some fortitude. That is what the DARE program is about. Because there are children who parents do drugs. They tell me, Mom does drugs, Dad does drugs. People come to our house and my mom gives them drugs. So 10 hours. I have 10 hours to try to penetrate their brain into their deep heart, that they can convince themselves that they do not have to be that way, that they can pull themselves out of that environment. To triad concept, law enforcement, informal counselor, law enforcement. So, law-related education. I actually had students that went into law enforcement, which was nice. It makes me feel good that they thought law enforcement would be a good thing. Some individuals that I never thought they would pull out of the environment went into law enforcement. There are some individuals that if they would be in law enforcement in their hometown, it would be difficult because they made mistakes early. So when they arrest someone, what do they want to do? Our black officers have it tough. I've heard them called Uncle Toms. I've heard them cussed at, sworn at, as if they were traitors because they put on the badge. It's tough. My role on campus is to keep the environment safe, not only the students, but the faculty and staff. There's a lot of things that can come into a school. You would not understand what comes to the front door. When you put the word public in front of something, that means anything comes through the door. In fact, by law, these individuals have to come to the door. So why not have a police officer that is able to be there? there is these individuals that you wouldn't want to come to your Thanksgiving Day party. And thinking of holidays, Greg, I know it's always Christmas when all the appetizers come over. And I want to thank you from my heart.
I remember you guys every year.
I know. Greg sends all over his leftover appetizers after his Christmas party. And he's been doing it for 25 years that I know of. And I thank you for it. And my waistline doesn't. So, this is the mayor's daughter. So, I'm going to use this, if I ever retire, to try to do like security force for dignitaries. The mayor entrusted his daughter to me. How many other officers has that happened to? None. Thank you very much. I rest my case. Interagency. The memorandum of understanding is the key element of being able to do what I do. I share information that would normally not be able to be shared between school and police department. But because we have this memorandum of understanding, that is the success of a program. It has to go through loops, scrutinized, looked at, and developed. So that allows me, with the information sharing piece of what I do every day. Next question, 4. SROs, I like what I do. I like kids. I interviewed for a position once. The chief was there. When I interviewed, I cried like a baby. It was right after the announcement that I wasn't coming back. Don't go cry again. You get it to have relationships. I've married kids. I've buried kids. I've been to graduation parties. You get to know kids. It's not always good kids, but there is winnable kids. Principals and I shared information. If it wasn't for the principals, my job would be terrible. But I have good working relationship with principals and the Board of Education and the superintendent's office. They ask, what about, why can't you just have an armed guard, arm the teachers, bring in the National Guard? The key is their willingness to dig deep in the hearts and lives of these kids. You have to respect them. You have to know them. I know when things are wrong in a child's life. I know when they're going bad. I see it in the cafeteria. Friends change. I give heads-up calls to parents. Parents call me. Officer Liz, what do you see? What's going on? I broke up many boyfriend-girlfriend relationships. Yes, I'm anti-Cupid. The dart hits, I pull it out. I've called parents from other school districts. You do not want your daughter dating him. You don't want your son dating her. Thanks for the heads up. You don't know where this came from. That's how I end my conversation. 40 hours of training to be a school resource officer, 24 hours for the advanced course. Then you go into the active shooter, it's another 24 hours. And then the law update is every summer. I take an 8-hour law update that's put on and presented. And believe me, it's important that I know that information. I feel that I have saved the school district money in lawsuits. I feel I have saved the police department money in lawsuits because of the 8-hour course updated. Do thefts happen in Worcester? Yes. Is there drugs in Worcester? Yes. There is not theft and drugs in any other school? No. We're a public education. These things are going to be there. It's our job to allow these students to learn. With me there, hopefully I'm just a little cog in the process. Being a part of a school safety team, I can be fully engaged into the schools. I'm at the games. I'm at the practices. I'm there. Some of the kids think that I never sleep because they'll see me at 2 in the morning, and then they'll see me at 7 in the morning, and they're thinking, he's everywhere. Oftentimes people say, this was the first time I've ever seen you without a uniform on. That was my wife. A school resource should be a member of the school safety team. There are trained for the role. I train prevention and mitigation, preparedness, I have to hurry, recovery and response. School resource officers took it on the chin with the prison pipeline. They were saying the schools, by bringing in law enforcement, were setting these kids up for failure. That they were going to go, especially the disadvantaged, that you were just putting on the road to put them into prison, from school to prison. The JPI, Justice Policy Institute, does everyone know the JPI? In 2011, November 2011, they came out and they said that these cops coming into these schools, now everything's felonies. They're trying to ram these kids into the court system. The National Association of School Resource Officers responded in October 2012, said that's further from the truth. They ended up going into the Senate hearing on December to voice their opinion about what the Policy Institute brought to the table. That was a short-lived Senate hearing because 2 days later, the Sandy Hook took place. End of question. They realized that law enforcement being in the school is a good thing. Does every crime in Worcester City schools go to court? No. Very few crimes go to court. In 2011, U.S. Department of Justice came out with instances of school associate deaths, violence, non-fatal victimizations, and theft all continued their downward trend. This trend mirrors that of the juvenile arrests in general, which fell nearly 50% from 94 to 2009. Those are the days after Columbine when people were starting to put police officers in schools. A 50% reduction. That's the most current information I could find for you. I'm not in there as a bad guy. I'm in there to try to prevent things from happening. Does people make mistakes? Does youth make mistakes? Is youth dumb? We've all been there, people. We've done bonehead things. They still continue to do that. As a police officer, I have to realize that. There are sometimes, however, when they cross the line, when they decide to superglue all the locks into the facility. All I had was 4 legs. The camera system was terrible. I had 4 legs from knee down, so I knew 4 people were involved. That's all I had to go on. One was 18. He didn't like me. Parents didn't like me. They thought I didn't like their son. I liked their son. But he did wrong. I've gone into court. I've had to testify. Some of my things that I have done at the schools, they tried to put it into the court system, and it's always been ruled in my favor. I have a published article. I was in the National Association of School Resource Officers. This is a national program, and he's from Logan County. Actually, when I was in the academy, he was actually an individual that came out of a car during my felony traffic stop scenarios. He was a college student that volunteered to do it for the academy, and he came out dancing. That's Chris. Chris comes out dancing. I quickly learned about PC. Because I said, "I'm Mr. Bojangles," because he was dancing. The instructor pulls me after the scenario, which I did well. I did a nice roll and everything. They were fat. In fact, people that still see me that were in my academy say, "I still can't remember that beautiful roll you did," and came up and checked the car. So he comes out and I said, "Call him Mr. Bojangles." So I said, "Okay, Mr. Bojangles, get on the ground." I got in trouble. I didn't think Mr. Bojangles was mad. We had a Bojangles in Cleveland. It was a disco. It's for dancing. Moving forward from now, we're trying to affirm the values of SRO. That's why I'm here. Letting you know there is value in having a police officer in the schools. We're not there to terrorize kids. If you would ever see the kids and I interact, you would think they have no respect for law enforcement whatsoever. I get poked. I get hugged. They like to punch me in my bulletproof vest. They think I don't feel it. If a bullet ever penetrates my bulletproof vest, it's because they have weakened it over the course of the time. When I turn in my vest, they may think, "Oh my goodness, Linz has been shot." They like to grab my pen. They like to touch my badges. I have fingerprints all over me by the end of the day. But it's important that they're able to touch me, that they're able to respond to other than, "I hate cops." I had a kindergartner once tell me, I don't know if you've ever heard the story, but it's hilarious. I'm fingerprinting in kindergarten. Fingerprinting a little girl, a little boy comes up to me and says, "You McConnell?" I said, "No, I'm Officer Linz." "You know McConnell? He drives an unmarked." He doesn't drive an unmarked, but he may have at the time. But so I had to tell McConnell, I said, "Even in kindergarten, you're known." Quinn makes stops when he's not even working. It's amazing. But people come up to me. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yes, I'm a grandfather of 3.
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. My daughter was a Wooster School System. She graduated in 1999, in 4 years.